Orale! Bienvenidos and welcome to the Familia FFB podcast. This is your host, Jorge Martin, Familia NFL Insider Series. Oh, my goodness, my goodness. We're going to the nation's capital on this one. Yes, we are going to, we're going to be talking Commanders today. But first off, I want to make sure you're going to YouTube. When you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you're hitting that like button and you're hitting that subscribe button. Set those notifications, Familia, because you'll get the little ding ding, the little bell will go off. You'll find out, hey, you know what? Got another new NFL Insider Series because we're coming almost every day all the way through training camp. Maybe a couple will come in at the beginning of training camp, but yes, yeah, get in there. And also want to make sure you're going to underdogfantasy.com. Use that promo code Familia23, Familia 23 if you want to do it in Spanish. You can keep playing best ball all the way to kickoff on the first, in September when the Lions and the Chiefs are kicking off. Familia best ball is fantastic. You set up fantasy lineups. They set it up for you. You don't have to do anything. They just set the best lineup for you. So again, the Familia 23. You're going to get when you use that promo code, you're going to, if you put in up to $100, they're going to match you the next $100. So Familia also, you know what? This is awesome. This is when I started the series 2 years ago. First off, shout out to the Rum Boys, Robbie Johnson, our compadre. I mean, he connected me with our guest Manny Chokuba, and we've not only done these, but I've been a guest on his show, and also just been we just correspond. Sometimes we cry in our beer a little bit when if the Lakers don't do what they're supposed to be doing. But Familia, you see him on Talking Sports with Manny. He's talking Commanders. You know what, Familia? Let's welcome him in. Manny Chokuba, bienvenido, mi amigo. Welcome.
Gracias, man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the invite, man. It's always a good time on the show. So, man, I'm excited, man. Let's go ahead and get it, man.
Well, let's get it. You know what? Big news, Eric Bieniemy. Now, it looks like a lateral move because, going from offensive coordinator to offensive coordinator position, but now he's actually calling the plays. Obviously, he was in with the installs and everything like that. But what I know you would have liked him to bring number 15 with him to Washington, but he's bringing that mind, a great football mind. How do you see it kind of like upgrading the system for the Commanders?
Absolutely. So, first of all, let's go ahead and correct this. I disagree. This is not a lateral move. You know why? Not only is he coming in to do the same thing he did in Kansas City, yes, he's going to call plays, but he's actually the assistant head coach.
Oh, that's right.
I am positive with the new owners, there's a stipulation in there to where if the team doesn't succeed, guess what? Ron Rivera could be out. If Ron Rivera's out, guess who's the next guy up? It's going to be Bieniemy, and he's going to have to do things his way to kind of show, hey, I can be a head coach in this league. So, yes, he's the assistant head coach, as well as the offensive coordinator who's going to call plays. What he's going to do, he's going to take this offense that Scott Turner was trying to ruin, okay? He's going to bring in a fun style. He coaches hard. If you watch little clips of practice and this guy, if you're doing something wrong, he's going to tell you you're doing something wrong and this is how you do it. You either do it, you shut up, or you go sit down. He's that kind of coach. He's coached guys like Adrian Peterson. He's coached guys like Jamal Charles and so many other guys, and they respect him. You'll see him and Patrick Mahomes arguing on the sidelines. That's the kind of guy he is. So he's going to bring accountability. He's a perfectionist. So even though Sam Howell, he's going to have some growing pains, but he's going to put Sam Howell in positions to succeed. You're going to see Terry schemed open. You're going to see Jahan Dotson used to his full capabilities. You're going to see guys like Logan Thomas even be relevant. So I'm excited for what he's going to bring to this offense. He's going to put guys in positions to win, unlike Scott Turner trying to make people be who they're not, or trying to run an offense that's so fancy, so generic, so this, so that, and then he wasn't producing. They look at him, they don't respect him. Bieniemy, he's not taking no mess from anybody. He's ready to put on the boxing gloves and go toe-to-toe with anybody on that team. So I love that tenacity that he's going to bring to that offense. You're going to see a nastiness coming from Bieniemy to his players.
Oh, and I love that, and you know what? I think so many guys who've been coached hard by him have really enjoyed, how they've developed. I mean, and we've seen him go back and forth with Patrick Mahomes on the sidelines, but Patrick Mahomes has always said how much he respected him and how much he learned from him. So I think so much of the Commanders' success or failure, I think, is going to come down to Sam Howell.
Mm-hmm.
And is he so? He hasn't been anointed the QB1. He still needs to earn it. But I think he was the guy who was drafted. He was the guy who came in for the last game of the season. I know Commanders fans probably wanted to see more of him last year. He's got a running element. He's got a strong arm. Can he be unlocked to give them potentially a starting quarterback in the NFL?
Absolutely. So I've talked about this on previous shows. I've been on 3 or 4 previous shows in the last couple of weeks, and I've given my Sam Howell semi-prediction. He's going to be a guy. He's going to run the ball more than people think.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
You're going to see designed runs. You're going to see runs where he improvises. That's who he is. If you look at the small sample size, which is the preseason, and that last game, week 18 versus Dallas, you saw him improvise, do some things with his legs in order to create plays, generate plays, and get first downs. Now, the difference is last year, the offensive line wasn't good, but Sam Howell was mobile enough to kind of move around. This year, the offensive line is slightly improved, and he doesn't have to run as much, but you're going to see him run when he needs to. He's a smart kind of player. He has a strong arm. He's accurate on his deep balls, which is phenomenal. And he's a guy that people respect. You look at him, he's mature for his age. He's a leader, and you're going to see that. With my prediction, I'm saying that Sam Howell could be a guy that might not offer a lot of yards, but he's going to offer that touchdown potential. You can see Sam Howell mess around with close to 30 touchdowns combined. That's passing and running. So that's what I see out of Sam Howell. People call me, you're a homer. Oh, you're crazy. You're this, you're that. This offense is designed to score points. Now, whether it's Sam Howell, whether it's the running backs, but this offense is going to score more than it's ever had in the last 5-6 years. So I'm excited about that. And you're going to see Sam Howell hit guys. When I say he has the potential to score 30 touchdowns, Jahan Dotson had, 7 touchdowns last year? And he missed, 4 or 5 games? Yes. Terry McLaurin is most likely going to have a career high in touchdowns this season. You're going to have guys like Cole Turner, Logan Thomas be utilized in the red zone. So the red zone is something that we've struggled in. Like we haven't scored in the red zone the last few years. I think that Sam Howell, with the weapons that they have, can correct that. So, yes, that touchdown upside, you do the math. I'm not asking for a lot. He has a potential to have 30 total touchdowns combined. That means running. That means passing. So I'm not saying he's going to throw for 30 touchdowns, but let's say he throws for 25, he can run for 5. So be on the lookout for that touchdown upside, because I think that's what Sam Howell is going to be able to bring to the team with the weapons that he has.
Now, I want to get into that receiver room. You touched on it a little bit because actually, after talking to you, I started to recommend Jahan Dotson more, and that actually helped some people, including me. I grabbed him on a couple of places where he helped me. Is the pecking order pretty clearly? Terry McLaurin is a bona fide wide receiver 1, potentially a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL if he gets the right kind of volume. Jahan Dotson, a good number 2, and Curtis Samuel, a good player who's maybe get some rushing as well as some receiving.
Right. I think this is the pecking order: is McLaurin, Dotson, Samuel. I think that's the order. But I will not be surprised. There is a guy that Sam Howell played college ball with by the name of Bieniemy Brown. Now, I understand he's done nothing in the league, but guess what? He had success in college because of Sam Howell. So let's see what happens in preseason. Maybe by the end of the year, you're seeing a shifting of the guard where you have Brown over Samuel, and maybe Samuel is expendable next season. I thought Samuel would be expendable this season, but I think Bieniemy wants all of his weapons at his full disposal. But if it comes down to like a money issue, or let's just say that Bieniemy Brown is just tearing it up in preseason or tearing it up in camp, then you got a decision to make. But this is the pecking order: McLaurin, Dotson, and Samuel. We got some other guys that are undrafted free agents and things of that nature, guys who can step up. But for right now, these are the top 3 guys.
Does it look like there might be enough pass volume considering the fact that Howell is gonna rush the ball?
Yes, because when I look at these receivers, right, I'm gonna say in redraft, Curtis Samuel, do not draft him. You're gonna be able to use them if one of these top 2 guys get hurt, because this team's gonna run the ball more than they pass the ball, right? But you look at it, you've seen other Russian offenses be able to produce wide receivers that are fantasy relevant. Now, with Terry McLaurin, I think he's going to have the best year since he's been in the league. He finally has a quarterback that's smart, that can get him the ball. Like, if you look at that Dallas game, Terry's running down the seam, and he just drops the ball in the bread bucket, and I nearly was crying. I have never seen a ball thrown so well to Terry. Okay, and in the small sample size, you're going to see more and more of that. So I'm excited about that. So Terry, he's going to be fine. He's going to be a top 10 to 15 wide receiver this season, and I think he's going to get the target. Even though that you're running the ball, look, the way that the offense is designed, Terry can take 2 steps, turn, the ball is in his hands, then he can create. So with that creatability, you're going to see guys get the ball in spots. And you're going to see, like, there's going to be games when they're running the ball and you're like, oh, my gosh, Sam Howell had 250 yards passing. Who are those yards going to? So you're going to see games where Terry gets yards, Jahan might get a touchdown. 40 yards on a touchdown. What? That's 10 points outside of the reception. So you're going to see creativity. There are weeks that all 3 guys are going to eat, even with limited passing. It's all about the touchdown numbers, and I really think that all 3 guys are gonna. I just see them catching a lot of touchdowns this year. So if touchdowns are king, these guys are going to be relevant. So you can see Terry as like a top 15 wide receiver. You can see Jahan Dotson as a top 30 wide receiver, and that's not bad, especially in dynasty. When Terry gets older, Jahan is the guy that you want to have. You want to get him now rather than later, and eventually things are going to flip to where Terry's older, Jahan Dotson becomes a man, kind of like Julio and Calvin Ridley. You can see something kind of like that. And Dotson is a touchdown getter. You can just see that in the small sample size of one season. The guy works tight spaces. He works tight spaces, and he might be the best red zone receiver we have on the roster right now, which is scary in just year 1. So I'm excited for it.
Oh man! Well, let's go to the running game real quick. Another one of your talks. Another one of your predictions last year was that Brian Robinson was going to do well. And God bless him for coming back from that scary, frightening gunshot wound. Way to so the healing. He's like Deadpool the way he healed. But now he's going into year 2, full off season, been able to train normally. What kind of workload do we see him having this year?
So for me and Brian Robinson, man, it's going to be interesting because I don't know if he gets the 15 to 20 carries a game. I don't know. They want to run the ball, but the crazy thing is that you're going to see Brian Robinson maybe gets 60%, 70% of the carries, and then the rest is split between Antonio Gibson and the rookie Rodriguez that Bieniemy handpicked. So that's the difference. You'll have a coach who's coming in trying to cultivate the skills and trying to get a culture and a system for what's already in place, but then you have a guy that he handpicked. So he didn't really get to grab a receiver that he likes. They gave him a 6th-round running back, so he's going to be incorporated somehow. Now, the way that I look at this backfield is it's going to be kind of interesting. I see Brian Robinson as a guy who is going to get the ball at the goal line. But then you can't discount Antonio Gibson because his rookie season, he did get goal line carries, right? So you have 2 guys that have the potential to do some things that are similar. The difference is you're going to use Antonio Gibson in that Curtis Samuel role. You're going to have Antonio Gibson in the slot. You're going to have Antonio Gibson potentially catching more passes, right? You have Bieniemy who likes to use these running backs in interesting ways. You look at the guys that it's always going to be a headache with Kansas City's backfield, right? He used Darrell Williams. What's his name? Darrell, the guy from LSU. Darrell Williams. One time it was that 1/6 or 7th rounder. I can't even think of the name right now because he just goes through running backs like this, McKinnon. And then you look at
Are you talking about Pacheco?
Yeah, Pacheco. No, you have Pacheco, but then you had another guy 2 years ago that was battling with Darrell Williams. I can't think of his name, and everybody got
Damian Williams? The other
Not
Williams?
Damian Williams, another guy. So it was Damian Williams, Darrell Williams, and then it was another guy, I can't think of his name. It will come to me, but they had all the hype on this guy. Oh, this guy might be a sleeper. So you hearing Rodriguez might be a sleeper. You're hearing Antonio Gibson is going to be the guy. You're hearing Brian Robinson. And to be honest, each week is going to be different. You're going to have whoever that's the hot hand getting the ball, whoever that's blocking on third down is going to play more. So can Antonio Gibson be a good blocker on third downs? Is it going to be Brian Robinson? I'm hearing that Brian Robinson is catching passes, and that's scary because he's a guy, when you put the ball in his hands, he lowers his shoulders and he's running through anything. So everybody is doing a little bit of everything. You're not limited to one role. Brian Robinson is just not going to run the ball. Yes, that's what he does best, right? But who's going to catch passes? When I say catching passes, doesn't mean running routes. You can catch a screen pass and take it 18 yards like he did in the regular season. Caught a one-handed catch, ran it in, ran some people over, and got into the end zone. So the running back situation is going to be kind of crazy. I don't know who's going to be the leader in that backfield, but one thing I can say is that it's going to be effective, and they want to run the ball. So if you're going to run the ball, you're going to have the volume, right? So if they rush for, let's say, 1,800 yards, how is that broken down between the three running backs that they have on the team? So it's pretty exciting stuff. These are guys that I would say go for if you're going with the 0 RB rule in redraft. And then in Dynasty, Brian Robinson definitely has upside. Antonio Gibson is on his way out after this season. That's my prediction. So why not get the guy who was just drafted last year? I have a rule. Every single year, you draft a running back every 2 years. You do that, you kind of keep your pipeline going. So that means Antonio Gibson is out. They're most likely drafting another back next year. So,
oh man, so true, so true. So the one last on the skill players, the tight end position. Logan Thomas has been dealing with major injury. You know, he had the major ACL tear and just hasn't been able to get all the way back. It's it's tough when those catastrophic injuries come. Is there going to be a tight end worth keeping an eye on in this offense for fantasy?
See, for me, I'm down on Logan Thomas, and I was on the Burgundy Zone yesterday. That's a Commanders podcast, and Kyle and Reed, they're in on Logan Thomas. I don't see it. I don't trust his health. And then he's a guy that has to be schemed open. He's not creating separation for nothing. Like, forget all that. Oh, Bieniemy is a tight end whisperer. Oh, Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce. Mahomes is Mahomes, okay? So Logan Thomas, he's a guy that you can use him in the red zone, which they brought that up. That's a great point. But Cole Turner is the guy that I'm keeping my eye on. Sleeper went crazy when, every year, like last year, his rookie season, he did all these great things in camp, and then it didn't translate on field. This year, he's doing all these amazing things in camp, but does it translate on the field? He's a guy that I was interested in coming into the draft, and for them not to draft any of the 15 tight ends that I loved this season, that tells me that they love what they have. They like a guy in Amari Rodgers who just tore his ACL. He's out for the year. So there's opportunity to be had between Logan Thomas, Cole Turner, and John Bates. John Bates is more of a blocker, so you can kind of like leave him on the wire. But keep an eye out on Cole Turner. He does a little bit of everything, and he can be a red zone target, a guy who can get you a touchdown here or there, a guy who has the potential to catch 5 to 7 touchdowns. Might not give you the yards, but like I said, in the red zone is where the Commanders are going to eat this year, and I see a lot of red zone touchdowns. So I'm excited about that. I have a vision in my head. I can be totally wrong. I can be totally off, but Cole Turner is definitely a guy I'm keeping my eye on, especially in Dynasty. I'm picking him up for free. He's going like in the 20th round, 21st round. You grab that guy, you stick him in your taxi. He might work, he might not work. He's dirt cheap. And we know that Logan Thomas, the end is near for him. He might look bad and he's cut. And if he's cut, guess what? You got Bates and Cole Turner and another young tight end. So there's opportunity to be had, especially in this offense.
So you touched on the offensive line a little bit, that they should be better. Where are they going to be better?
So when you look at what they had last year, you had this big mammoth of a slowpoke snail guy in Norwell, and then you had Turner. So you had Norwell and Turner, two guys who were all pros, Pro Bowlers in Carolina with Ron Rivera. They went cheap. You let go of Eric Flowers. You let go of Brandon Sheriff, who wanted so much money. And then not only that, they didn't want to be in D.C. So you go with some older guys that have had success, and it just didn't work. It was just so slow. You couldn't get creative. You throw a screen. These guys can't get in front. These guys are just – they can't block anybody. They're getting ran over, rolled over. This year, you bring in Gates from the Giants. You have a guy, 7th rounder in Chris Paul, who has some upside. You have Sadiq Charles, which is it's either you're going to ball out this year or you're done, right? So you have all these different guys, and then you have Cosme. One thing about Ron Rivera is that he preaches position flex. So you have tackles that are going to play guard, and you have some guards that can play tackle. So what I see is athleticism. What I see is guys that are going to be bigger, faster, stronger, to where they can get into the next level on these screens, these bubble screens. You're going to see they're going to be coached in a different way. And bringing in Wiley from Kansas City, who's very familiar with Eric Bieniemy, the offensive line is going to be interesting. Like I said, it's still question marks because we don't know who's going to step up, who's not going to step up. They also added 2 guys in the draft as well. So it's a free-for-all, battle it out. They've gotten rid of Chase Roulier. He's done. So a new center coming in. You're potentially going to have a new right guard. You might have a new left guard. The only consistent guy is possibly going to be Leno. And then you have Cosme, who I feel is a better guard than he is tackle. So if Wiley's playing right tackle, you have Cosme, who was drafted as a tackle, to play guard. And anytime because tackles are more athletic. Anytime you can get a tackle to play guard, it just bodes well. They can just do so much more from that position. So I'm looking at position flex, and I'm thinking that Bieniemy is going to put the best 5 out there. There's no, you will sign for $7 million a year. You might be a backup. So it's going to be an all-out battle. You have a guy who was a 7th-round pick in Chris Paul last year, not the Chris Paul for the now Phoenix to now Golden State Warriors. This is the Chris Paul for the Commanders, and he's a guard, pure guard. So it's going to be interesting to watch that camp battle. I can't tell you who's going to be the 5 starting, but I'm going to tell you that the 5 that get out there are going to be 5 that are hungry. That's the difference. Last year, you was privileged. Oh, Noel, former Pro Bowler, former All-Pro. Oh, Turner, former Pro Bowler. No, this year it's we don't know who's hungry enough. When you're hungry, you eat. It's like hungry hippos. These guys are going to be fighting for minutes, fighting for snaps. So it's exciting. It's a different feel just because you just don't know. And it's not going to be based off of money. You're starting because of money. No, you're starting because you deserve to start. So hopefully that should translate on the field, right? So we'll see what happens there.
Oh, fantastic. The other side of the ball, the past couple of years, it's been people have been able to pass on them a little bit. And I think it's curious that Chase Young's 5th-year option did not get picked up. Mm-hmm. So how do they shape up against the run, and how do they shape up against the pass?
All right, I'm about to break this down for you. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Are you ready for this?
Bring it.
All right. So if you look at history, Jonathan Allen, what was the thing on him? Oh, is he worth the money? Should we pay him now? No, the Commanders don't pay now. They let that guy go out, and he produced a Pro Bowl season and got paid. And guess what happened after he got paid? Another Pro Bowl season. Then while he's doing that, it was time for Daron Payne to get paid. Oh, no, we're not going to pay you now. Whether we pick up your 5th-year option or not, we're not going to pay you now. Guess what? He balls out. 9.5 sacks. Pro Bowl season. That's another defensive tackle. And guess what he's going to do next year? Another Pro Bowl season after getting paid. Now it's Chase Young's turn. Why would you give him a 5th-year option when he was hurt? And he's still recovering. So if it doesn't work out, guess what? You can walk. But if it works out, guess what happens? You're going to get paid. So he's going to be hungry. He's hearing all the noise. He's heard everything. Chase Young has no moves. This, that. He's ready to eat. He's ready to get paid. And what Washington has done, what history tells you, is that when you ball out, you get paid. That's how Ron Rivera rolls. So I expect him to ball out. You have Montez Sweat. Guess what? He's a free agent as well after this season. So you have 2 guys that are on the outsides playing not for just their money, but for their NFL lives. If they can succeed with this line and what's around them, then guess what? They as good as done, right? You become rotational guys elsewhere. So both guys are going to be hungry and motivated. Now, does it translate on the field? I don't know. With Payne and Allen being in the middle, two guys who were capable of 7 to 9 to 10 sacks each, I don't know if you're going to have 4 guys who gets 10 sacks each like the Eagles. But what I am saying is that they're going to be hungry, and those 4 are going to work together. It's going to be the first time in a long time that all 4 guys are healthy. Knocking on wood. Now, you look at the back on the back end. You say, oh, they passed on the Commanders. Yes, that's very true. You can't run on the Commanders, so you might as well pass on them. Like, you have to give up something, right? So with this defensive line, with everybody being healthy, they're going to attack the quarterback on every single play. There's not going to be times where they are taking off, right? So what that means is that you go ahead and draft you a Emmanuel Forbes. You go ahead and get you a Quan Martin in the second round. You get you 2 defensive backs back-to-back in the draft. One guy, he led the nation in pick sixes. Like, this guy is a monster. Everybody's like, oh, why don't you draft a Chris Gonzalez? No, we want a guy with a different mindset. When he gets the ball, he's turning it into points. We want to create turnovers. We want to create points. We want to create a short field for a guy like Sam Howell to operate in, so he can go ahead and get more points and get closer to that red zone. So I love the Forbes thing. You're going to see him. Sometimes he's going to get killed like Diggs, but sometimes you're going to see this guy jump on these routes and create turnovers. And turnovers creates more scoring opportunities, right? And with this defensive line, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3. Before I say 3 Mississippi, the ball better get out of the hands of the quarterback. So it's going to be a motivational thing. And then you have a Derek Forrest who's stepping into his own as that free safety. You have another guy in Cameron Curl, 7th round star, one of the better strong safeties in the league. Then on the other side, you got Benjamin St. Just. Then in the slot, you got Kendall Fuller. Is he playing the slot? Is he playing on the outside? This is the first time we've had 3 really good corners with potential to be, great. Then you have Quan Martin, who is the wild card. Is he playing the Buffalo nickel? Is he playing nickel corner? Who do you bench? You have 8 guys on that back end that can all start. So it's a beautiful problem to have. They haven't been this deep in the secondary. They heard you, George, saying how bad this secondary was. So they went on and improved it, right? So now it's just all about who's hungry to kind of get on the field. Now, the weakness is that middle. Those linebackers, I don't know what to say. You go ahead and get a Cody Barton from Seattle who hasn't done anything, but he's hungry for that opportunity to show that he can be a middle linebacker in the league. 1-year deal. Then you have Jamin Davis, former first-round pick. Hey, is this the year that he elevates his game? We don't know. So that's where you kind of beat them is with those linebackers. But that defensive line is going to be strong. That back end is going to be strong. So it should be a good defense. This should be a defense that creates turnovers, a defense that gets off the field on 3rd downs. And with a good running game, they're going to go hand in hand. Run the ball, rest up. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Allen, and Payne are ready to eat. They attack the quarterback, and they kind of play that kind of game. And if everything goes well, man, it could be a really good season for the Commanders.
Oh, man. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, and actually, you know what? I know the NFC East is really tough, but 6.5 wins is what Vegas has for them. I haven't gone through everything, but 6.5 wins feels a little low if Howell is a real quarterback. That to me what is the big X factor. So, oh man, Manny, this is fantastic. So let's close it up. Your neck of the woods. Any new Mexican food takes? Any new discoveries you've had?
So there's a place in Nashville. It's called Los Arcos, and they have the best fajita nachos.
Oh my goodness!
If you like fajita nachos, I get mine with the works. I get the fajita nachos. They got the goat cheese. They got I do shrimp, steak, and chicken. The plate is like as big as I don't know, man, but I eat the whole thing. It's so delicious. Got the onions, got the peppers. It's just melty and just delicious and savory. And then when I'm done with that, I drink water and I finish it off with some churros. So if you're ever in Nashville, check out Los Arcos and get the fajita nachos and tell them Manny sent you.
Oh man, I hope they get you a free lunch out of that after a couple of people say yes. So, oh man, Manny, thank you so much. Muchas gracias. I always love chopping it up to you and chop it up with you. And yeah, you know what? Let me know when you need a guest, and I'd love to jump back on. Pump away anything you got coming up.
Absolutely. So you guys check out Talking Commanders podcast with Manny. If you want to know more about the Commanders, what's going on, check out that podcast. Also, check out Talking Sports with Manny on YouTube. I funnel everything out there. Check out my new Dynasty podcast, Dynasty Overload. Check out my Lakers podcast, Showtime with Manny. I'm very busy, man, but when you come on the YouTube channel, it's like a buffet table. You grab what you like, you throw away what you don't, and you just kind of keep it moving.
Oh man, well, I mean, they stay it's a Vegas buffet because everything's good. So love it. I had a blast being on Dynasty Overload with you, and it was fantastic.
You'll be back.
Fantastic. I will. Loved it. Well, we love this. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you enjoyed Talking Little Commanders. Also, again, make sure you're giving us that like and subscribe when you're going to YouTube, Familia. You know what, keep enjoying this great content that's going to help you for fantasy. And also if you're going to underdogfantasy.com, use that promo code Familia23. You're going to match you that for $100, dollar for dollar. You get 100, you put in 100, they match you an extra 100. And we've got so much good stuff beyond the YouTube channel. We're also on Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your audio podcasts. Muchas gracias to Spotify for podcasters for putting us out there. So again, you can find me at Jorge Martin 17 on Twitter. I push all the content out there. Everything else, Instagram, Facebook, it's Familia FFB. And don't forget to go to FamiliaFFB.com. I'll have some articles coming out on this. You get you ready for the season, because that season is coming. It's less than 2 months away, Familia. Oh, and let's enjoy this downtime, but we're filling the space. And always remember, todos somos familia. Salud.